A government, a standing army, 2 Lewis machine guns, 10,000 rounds of ammunition, 1 target. The enemy, birds. Wait, stop everything. Are you serious right now? I'm not making this up. Welcome to the Emu War, the only war in history a country lost to birds. To understand how we get to machine guns pointed at a bird, we need to rewind to World War I. Australia sent tens of thousands of young men to fight. Many never came home. The ones who did got a nice promise from the government. Fight for us and we'll give you land back home. Sounds fair. It should have been. Problem is, the land they got was in Western Australia. Dry, harsh, drought-prone. So picture this. You come home from a world war and you're handed a plot of land that can barely grow wheat. Then in 1932, as if that wasn't enough, a global economic depression hit. Wheat prices collapsed, and the government didn't even pay the subsidies it had promised. And right at that exact moment, something much stranger happened. 20,000 emus, not a typo, giant flightless birds, about 5 feet tall, who collectively decided these new farms looked like an all-you-can-eat buffet. Wait, why now? Why 20,000 at once? Breeding season, combined with a drought that dried up their natural water sources. The emus learned the farms had both food and water, so they just relocated. And when I say relocated, I mean they also trampled through rabbit-proof fences that cost millions of dollars to build, opening the door to problem number 2, rabbits. So now you've got an emu crisis and a rabbit crisis. Exactly. And farmers who had barely survived the depression watched their fields get destroyed and did what any reasonable person would do. They asked the government for the army. The Minister of Defense, Sir George Pierce, was a former military man himself. So when a group of farmers, many of them war veterans, showed up asking for heavy weapons against birds, he didn't laugh. He said yes. Hold on. The defense minister of an entire country heard, "We have a bird problem," and decided the answer was machine guns? Lewis machine guns. The same ones used in World War I. 2 guns, 10,000 rounds, and 3 men. 3? Against 20,000 birds? 3. Major Gwyneth Purvis Win Aubrey Meredith. Yes, that's his real name. Sergeant McMurray. And Gunnar O'Halloran. And with them, a cameraman, because someone in the government figured this would make great propaganda. I'm guessing they were hoping for a nice victory reel. That is, not exactly what happened. November 2nd, 1932. The unit arrives at Campion. About 50 emus reported in the area. The plan is simple. Farmers herd the birds toward the ambush. The machine guns do the rest. That does not look like the plan. The birds didn't get the memo. Instead of bunching up nicely into the kill zone, they split into small groups and ran in every direction. First blood of the war, as the history books very seriously call it, was a little over a dozen birds. Okay, that's not great, but it's not a disaster either. Just a rough start. Wait until you hear about November 4th. This time they planned it right. An ambush near a dam, the strongest possible draw for thirsty birds. And sure enough, over 1,000 emus appeared on the horizon, heading straight for the trap. 1,000 birds. Ambush ready. Gun ready. There is no way this goes wrong. The gun jammed. After exactly 12 birds. After all that setup, after 1,000 birds walked right into the plan, after all of that, by the time they fixed the gun, the rest of the 1,000 had vanished over the horizon. Not a single bird was seen again that day. Meredith, unwilling to give up, decided to upgrade. He mounted a machine gun on the back of a truck, turning this into an impromptu car chase. Now, this sounds like an action movie. It was an action movie, a bad one. Emus can run up to 30 miles per hour across unpredictable terrain. The truck bounced around so violently the gunner couldn't even aim. And it gets better. One of the dead emus fell directly onto the steering gear, sending the truck veering off course straight into someone's fence. Even in death, the birds were causing damage, so the dead birds still won that round. The dead birds still won that round. Exactly. Then something happened that made the soldiers start questioning their own sanity. They noticed every flock of emus had a leader, a tall, black-plumed bird standing off to the side, scanning the field, signaling the flock to flee the second it spotted danger. Hold on, the birds have a lookout? The birds had an early warning system more effective than anything the army managed to improvise. Newspapers at the time, who were absolutely loving this story, wrote about it like the emus had an actual military chain of command. After 6 days, the numbers spoke for themselves. 2,500 rounds fired, to kill roughly 200 birds. That's about 12 bullets per bird. That's a worse hit rate than most artillery barrages in history. The Australian press ran with it, and it was embarrassing enough that Parliament itself debated the whole thing. One opposition Labour MP asked, dead serious, whether a medal would be struck for those who took part in this war. The reply he got, if any medals are to be awarded, they should go to the emus. They have won every round so far. Even the politicians admitted the birds won. And then Meredith himself, probably the most exhausted man in the entire country, gave the quote that made this story immortal. If we had a military division with the bullet-carrying capacity of these birds, it would face any army in the world. They can face machine guns with the invulnerability of tanks. He just said the birds were tougher than his own soldiers. He just said the birds were tougher than his own soldiers. The defense minister heard enough and ordered a full withdrawal. But the emu problem didn't vanish just because the army embarrassed itself. The fields were still being destroyed. So 2 weeks after the withdrawal, Meredith was quietly sent back in, this time with a lot less press attention. Over the following month, the unit finally improved, roughly 100 birds a week. By early December, they claimed around 1,000 total kills. So it worked out in the end? 1,000 birds out of 20,000. Less than 5% of the population. As an actual solution to the problem, total failure. What actually solved the emu problem wasn't the army, it was boring bureaucracy. The government simply handed farmers free ammunition and offered a cash bounty for every emu killed. So the solution was, let the farmers handle it themselves? Exactly. Within a single year, the bounty system led to over 57,000 emus being killed. Way more than the entire Australian military managed combined. Turns out an angry farmer with a rifle and a cash incentive beats an official army unit. Today, the Emu War is remembered as a joke, but the emu itself got the last laugh. It sits proudly on Australia's official coat of arms, right next to the kangaroo. Wait, the bird that beat the army is on the national emblem? Right alongside the kangaroo. Another animal urban legend claims can't walk backward. 2 animals chosen more or less because you cannot stop them. Instead of hiding the embarrassing loss, Australia decided to immortalize it. So next time someone tells you history is just serious battles and important men, remind them that in 1932, a standing army with real machine guns retreated from birds and lost. And that's the story? That's the story. True, documented, and absurd beyond belief.